All right, Jake, tell me how you would feel. 2.5 years ago, you and your best friend started a podcast, and not long into the journey, you said to him, hey, check out this podcast, Shits and Gigs. They're pretty good. And ever since then, you've been pretty much a diehard fan, a Patreon member, and honestly, it would be a dream guest. And just 2 days ago, you and that same best friend just did a podcast, a co-podcast with Shits and Gigs together. How do you feel?
Stiumlated! I feel adrenaline. It's all coming back to me.
It's a great, surreal feeling. It is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like leading up to it, I wasn't that nervous.
Neither.
We had did the girls' bathroom the week before, which felt good. And so I was glad we did that. And so we put like a bit of thought into the structure of how we wanted to do the episode with Shits and Gigs.
We put a lot of thought into it, yeah.
You guys listening, whoever's listening to this right now has probably already listened to the Shits and Gigs episode. Let us know what you thought. But just like the night, like we did it, and then I went back to Beth's place, and I still stayed in Sydney because the next day we had to go do Jimmy and Nate's podcast.
Yeah,
and so
Australian radio station thing.
Yeah. And so, just some fucking...
no, a lot of
they were fucking good blokes. I like
They were good blokes. A lot of people wouldn't know who they are.
True.
Like
yeah,
our girl listeners.
That's a good point. Jimmy, they're Australian radio and then have a podcast. But I really liked them. They were nice. But I thought like, because I was like having a come down from doing the podcast with Shits and Gigs. And I was like, I'm going to be exhausted. And I remember being pretty tired. And I went to bed pretty early, maybe like 9:30. Didn't have to wake up till like 7. Was chilling. About 1:45, I woke up for a piss. I went and took a piss and I got back into bed and I was like, for some reason, my mind was replaying from the moment we introduced them until the end of the episode.
Really?
And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I've done it. I've done the thing that I should have been stressed about. Why? And I had like this anxious pit in my stomach for some reason.
It's funny you say that. The last 2 nights going to sleep, I've been mad anxious.
Yeah.
And
Why?
I don't know what about. Because normally I get a little bit nervous. I was comparing it to when I used to have big sporting events. And I'd get nervous before the event or before the race. And as soon as it started, gone. And that's what I was thinking it would be like with this.
Yeah. But
I didn't really get that nervous beforehand. And then after, I've just been anxious. And the same thing, I stayed in Sydney in a hotel room. Maybe I'll get to that story. That was a terrible day for me. But before it, I went to bed at like 10 and I couldn't fall asleep. My head was just racing and I had a bit of like anxiety in my stomach. And I was putting it down to, I'm in a foreign, like I was in a hotel room. I was like, I'm just not in my own bed. And I was just stressing, but it was funny. And
I just remember, I was awake and I was trying to fall back asleep and I was like, this is not like me at all. I was just thinking, I've done the thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Why am I anxious? I had to put a podcast in like my fucking AirPods.
I put
Beth was next
deep
to me.
REM music in.
Yeah, I had to put a podcast in, and I just had to go try and choose like one of the most boring ones. It's like fucking Chris Williams. Sorry, mate, but it's a little bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It's like a little bit fucking boring.
Well, that probably brings up a good point too. What this episode is going to be, it's going to be a little bit different, not as clippy as usual.
Yeah,
we've been doing a lot of things in the background and a lot of things at face value, and it's been getting on top of us a little bit. So we wanted to have a little debrief of what we've been doing.
Kind of an appreciation.
Yeah. I want to kind of stay. I've been started editing Relatables and it's very cool
like
and so surreal. Yeah. Sorry, the Shits and Gigs episode. And it's just like, I want to maintain the relatability of it. Yeah. Like, because that's such a high.
Yeah.
Now we're coming off it. I want to like debrief with you how we're feeling through it because we also can't always communicate normally how we can.
No.
And then also just everything else that's going on in life, like the behind the scenes business side of things.
Yeah. And I also don't want to just like forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to just be like, cool, milestone, what's next? Like, I want to try and like actually relish it a little bit.
Appreciate it.
Like, it's fucking sick.
And then I'm also thinking, here's me overthinking. I don't want to be one of those guys who just talks about, the Shits and Gigs were on their pod all the time.
I mean, look, we don't have to talk about that. I think I just want to, it's like, I guess I would prefer to like, I think it's hard to be like, I think we're not bad at it, but it's hard to sit down and just be like, first off, I guess what we could say is like, fucking congrats. To like from me to you, congrats. Like genuinely.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just fucking wild.
I was thinking that too. Like, I'm proud of us for the journey we've had together. And also, firstly, we'll just start on like, this is the first time we had to interview random people.
Yeah. We did it a couple times in just 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we had the girls' bathroom last week, which I was way more nervous for.
Yeah.
And I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. Oi.
Considering.
The comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen them?
Yeah. They're so
On
nice.
ours?
I want to say, like, the girls' bathroom listeners, they are the best.
Oi. Love the baddies, obviously.
Well, they're not better than them,
They're
like-
not better than the baddies, but the girls' bathroom listeners are on par with the baddies.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Nice, genuine people.
When we'll see what Shits and Gigs. We haven't posted Shits and Gigs as of recording this, guys. We'll see what their fucking listeners are like.
Yeah. It's so cool seeing the different types of communities and everything like that. And I think just because the girls' bathroom, like, they grew up with all their listeners.
They did. Oh, yeah, true, because they were doing it since they were like 16.
Yeah, so they have like such a good, strong connection. And like, I think because they said we're like good enough to go on their podcast, their fans really appreciated that. So we appreciated that as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, the comments on their YouTube video, I didn't read, but Beth had read a couple, and she said that the response was really nice.
It's good.
Like, someone said something like, or maybe you told me this.
I think I did.
You might have told me this, where someone said, oh, usually when you guys get guests on, they don't understand your show. And these guys, because we do dilemmas a lot on our show, I think we just kind of like, well, we're fucking, this is us. This is what we do. So they were like, oh, they just kind of made sense. Like, it seemed like they understood what the premise of the show was.
Also, we really do our due diligence going on to other people's pods and we wanted to like make it tailored around them so they felt comfortable. And it's sort of like what they do with a Relatables twist on it. Yeah. Kind of thing. Yeah. We really wanted to make them feel at home, essentially.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Someone that listened to the girls' bathroom episode of ours commented on YouTube, like, I've been a fan of these guys for like 10 years. They one time replied to my Snapchat message, helping me with a dilemma.
Really?
They were like, it's crazy to see full circle that I like became a listener of Relatables, not through them.
Yeah.
But then you guys did a collab. She said it's just like wild to see.
It's
cool.
Crazy, just like worlds colliding. Honestly, it's just so hard to comprehend. I don't know. Just
at one point, we got introduced yesterday on the podcast we were on as like the wildly successful podcast Relatables. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, to be fair, like maybe, but at the same time, it's like, when do you feel that?
I don't technically like that wildly
No, neither do
successful.
I. I think it's a bit of like propaganda.
It is a little bit. I don't really like that. I think we're successful because we have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because we've been able to monetize it.
Yeah.
We haven't even monetized it that well. Trying to. But yeah, when does it become like, I don't know. I think it's that always, do you know how like you always say, when I have this, I'll be happy. And it's like us 2 years ago when we were here, we'd be happy. And we're always looking for that one more thing.
Humans suck, bro.
Yeah, we do.
We'll talk because we actually asked, I remember we asked Shits and Gigs. The good interviewers we are. But I just remember being interested in asking like, what was, I was like, you guys are fucking, you've got 2 million subscribers, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you have a goal for next? And I remember they said that they did this small list at the start. Like, we want 1,000 followers. We want to make £1,000 a month from Patreon, a couple of things. And then when they hit that, they made this outrageous one of like 1 million subscribers, like bang, bang, bang. And then when they hit that, they said they haven't set any goals since then.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, it's good to work towards something, but also like, I suppose that's good to live in the present moment too.
Yeah.
Because this industry is so fast paced and it's so easy to get caught up in doing all these amazing things. And I think what was happening to us is like our feelings were catching up because we were moving so quickly. Yeah. Like the anxiety like hit us and like the nervousness just hit us. We're like, oh shit, like where was this? Yeah. I'm glad it hit me after, but I also couldn't sleep.
It hit me after. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't want to act like, you said it on the podcast, like it's not normal for us to just interview.
That wasn't a normal experience.
I know they're just normal people, like at the end of the day, they're just human beings.
Okay, yes.
And I don't want to like put them on a pedestal, but they're in the industry of the podcast world, they're so big and they mean so much to us. And it's just also just such a big occasion for us because our whole lives are consumed by being podcasters.
Yeah. So here's what I was thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Is I was thinking like, I was like, I was like, fuck, me and Oddie are just a couple dudes, right? Yeah. A couple of normal fucking guys, right? And then I was like, those two look at each other the way I look at you and you look at me. Like, I don't look at you as famous Oddie Clark.
No.
And you don't look at me as famous Jake Craig.
Yeah.
But then there is some people out there that might think that, right? And then the way that we look at James and Fuhad or Sophia and Cinzia is like, oh, that they're famous.
Yeah.
But they look at each other like James and Fuhad would look at each other the way you and I look at each other. And I find that so hard to understand because it's like, wait, no, from my perspective, you guys are obviously so fucking famous. But from their perspective, they're probably like the way we feel.
Yeah, no.
Isn't that so interesting? So it's kind of like, I don't mind putting them on a pedestal because to you and I, they actually are like this.
Yeah.
They are like that. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that was a normal fucking experience. When they reposted our story, I screenshotted it and it's on my phone. just so I have proof.
I screenshotted it.
Yeah. Like, I'm a fucking fan. I'm going to be a fan. And you know what I'm so happy we did? Is like the start of the episode, we were like, look, I'm glad we were like, this isn't normal for us.
Yeah.
This is... like,
well, I just want to maintain their relatability too. Of like, everyone's normal blokes.
Yeah.
And even though we might not be perceived that way by other people, like you said, which is so true, and we perceive other people as famous.
Yeah.
Like, I want to somehow maintain that relatability side of things of how we're feeling. And like, that's not normal. We were shitting ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we prepped the fuck out of that episode.
Yeah.
We also fucked up a couple times.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was awkward a little bit here and there.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it wasn't perfect, but we did our best. And I'm happy with the end result.
How do we do like a check-in? What's like a good premise for a check-in? I
had a good question. I was going to say, how do you think you've been going? So when we talk to each other, we sort of know where the conversation's leading and say the things we want to say and how we're meant to say them. But I have noticed, well, with me anyway, when I'm spitting something out with someone else, they sort of lead the conversation somewhere else, which isn't bad. But sometimes I might say something and it's not particularly exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
To try and keep the conversation going. Have you really done any of that as well?
I think definitely.
Like, just subconsciously when they're sort of in the conversation too, and me and Jake have such a strong connection, we know where the conversation's heading, and then sometimes I'll be like, oh fuck, I didn't say that right, did I?
Yeah.
And then you just have to keep going with it.
I fully agree, yeah. Even with guesting on.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard with other people. It's definitely hard with other people. And you can't just go on and, like, you can't have someone come on your podcast and just do this.
Yeah.
And then just every now and then be like, just say guesses over there. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of getting them into the show?
Mm.
And then the same as going on another podcast. It's like, they obviously want you to be involved, but you and I can't go on a podcast as guests and just start fucking talking like we would talk and just be like, oh yeah, sorry, this is your show.
Yeah, because I realized it the other day, because when we went on Jimmy and Nate, like I said, they're like a big Australian radio show and they have a podcast. And I was explaining like Jake and I's relationship and how it formed. And I sort of underplayed a little bit, but I didn't do that on purpose.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, I sort of played it as like I didn't appreciate it. I don't think you really cared, but it wasn't how I was trying to.
Not even how I took it.
Yeah, but that's like, when I was saying, I was like, this isn't how I'm trying to fucking say this. And it was just coming out that way.
It's hard. And the good thing about it is, if we were on our show, we could be like, wait, we're going to cut that out, restart.
Yeah.
We'll get this right. Boom.
Yeah. That one was so fast paced. I didn't realize we started.
Oh yeah, it's interesting how different shows work.
Yeah.
Very interesting. How do you feel now? We're home. We're back in our studio.
I'm so happy to be home. Honestly.
Same.
It's something about recording in your own studio. We walked in the studio today and it's like walking back into your own house after a hotel or like a big week away or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just want to zen out and really concentrate on us now.
Yeah, same.
Like, we've done the thing. I'm not really striving for, I definitely want them in the future, like more guest appearances.
I know. We kind of went from 0 to 100 in 2 weeks. I'm good for a while.
Yeah,
I think I've
good.
I've
got my hit.
Unless someone else big is like, yeah, I'm keen, but I'm good for a while.
And I really want to focus on like our baby, like, because it's so good to get other people's audiences and harness like,
of course, yeah,
what they've built. But also I want to like really focus and dive into the Relatables podcast and make our content the best. Yeah. And I really love doing this and being away from that. Like, we weren't doing any of the production, anything like that. We're rocking up, having to deal with everyone else, like, which is fine. That's part of the job. But it's so good to be back and we can concentrate on our baby, which is the Relatables and everyone listening, which I'm so keen to do.
Same. Honestly, I am keen to just get back into like, because we haven't really, the way it's worked out, it feels like it's been like a month since we recorded a proper like Spotify Monday episode.
Yeah.
We've done Patreon, so that's been like, it's nice that we still had that.
Yeah.
So we can still feel normal. But I'm keen to just like get back to normal, what's it called?
Routine.
Regular, scheduled content. Yeah. Let's get back to regular scheduled content.
That's it, hey.
I guess a big thanks to, the girls' bathroom and Shits and Gigs. Massive thanks. With Shits and Gigs, we were the only podcast they went on.
Yeah, I know, which we were so grateful for. And they were just like mad boys too. They were just there to vibe out, have a good time. And also, we should also say thanks to everybody listening, because we wouldn't be able to do that without any of you guys.
No, 100%.
Either.
I think it's kind of funny. It's like, I still feel like we're semi-finding our feet.
So do I, 100%.
Isn't it weird? Like, do you reckon you ever feel as though you have found your feet? Because I was listening, it's funny, I was listening to fall asleep when I was awake the other night and anxious. I was listening to a Chris Williams podcast with Tom Segura, because I actually like Tom Segura.
Yeah.
I don't really ever listen to this Chris Williams guy, but I saw it. So I was like, oh, fuck it. And I fell asleep. And then when I was driving home from Sydney yesterday, I put it back on and I was like, I'll just listen to it. Fuck it. I've caught up on everything else. I've caught up on Shits and Gigs. And
I know I'm firsthand now.
Caught up on my boys, Shits and Gigs. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we're fucking friends with them, okay? Yeah. I understand we're acquainted, but there's no way in the world I'm going to sit here and tell anyone like, yeah, friends with Shits and Gigs. Okay, but okay. I was listening to it and they just like randomly got on this topic of how, like, you know how the world is always going to end? And when we're in 2012, I remember there was that big thing of like the doomsday clock is only up to 2012. The world's going to end when
I
the
only
strike.
remember that because there's a movie called like 2012.
Yeah, the world's going to end when the clock strikes midnight on fucking New Year's Eve 2011. And so they were like, do you think it's just always been like that? Because like the world has always just been ending. And so it's just like humans it's like need something like that. So at the same time, it's like, with us saying we feel like we haven't found our feet, but then, you know, we definitely have in some cases. There's definitely aspects of what we do where we have found our feet. But are we just like always going to feel like we've never found our feet? And that's just like what keeps you going?
Yeah. Maybe that is why we feel that way. I've never thought of it like that. Interesting.
It's weird, eh? I just was like, I was having weird thoughts about it. It's just like, what?
Because like, but then there are definitely people who are like, I'm the best. I know what I'm doing.
True, yeah.
But I think for us, that really works because it gives us something to strive towards, which is good. I feel like one of the best takeaways from these experiences, other than obviously recording with them, but I don't know if they're being nice. I felt like it was pretty genuine. They said we had a good show.
Yeah.
After we recorded, like, that's a pretty good show, guys. It just felt real genuine. Didn't seem like they needed to say that. They're probably being nice.
They were probably being really nice, but at the same time, when they said that, they said they were like, wait, this format? They were like, good job.
Yeah.
And it was the best compliment ever. Because I was thinking about it. If they didn't like it, they would have still been nice, but they wouldn't have said that. They would have been like, thanks for having us on. Like,
yeah, exactly. They wouldn't have said anything. And then even when we were walking out of that one, the guy who produced our podcast, just some random guy who works at a podcast production studio, probably sees 5 podcasts a day. Yeah. He goes, oh, that was my favorite podcast I've ever done here.
Yeah, he did. He was like, you guys are naturals.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, we've been doing it for a couple of years, but thanks. I was like, trust me, we weren't.
I don't think he knew who Shits and Gigs were. Like, you guys are naturals. Like, mate, they're like fucking one of the best in the world.
Or if he didn't know who they were and he goes to look them up, he's going to feel like an idiot.
Yeah. You guys are naturals.
Oh, how funny. But yeah, no, in terms of feeling, I'm pretty happy. Definitely quite happy.
What do you feel like we could improve on or do better next time?
Okay. Oh, next time we have guests?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a great question. I actually probably wouldn't really have any opinions on it until we get feedback from listeners. Thinking about it, do you have anything?
I think just somehow figure out, it's human nature to be reserved when you first start talking to someone you met 15 minutes ago, but somehow figure out a way to be as comfortable as we are right now with them and be ourselves. Because I've edited all the episodes and half an hour in, we just kept way better.
Yeah.
Like we start to flow the conversations, which is human nature because we met them 15 minutes ago. Then we're talking for half an hour. Then we're like, oh shit, yeah, I understand how they talk. Like I understand when they need to talk.
Okay, maybe what I think to do better then is we organize these things And each time we do it, we only do it with the guest that we haven't met yet. So like, let's say we have the girls' bathroom on or Shits and Gigs on again. We probably won't need to do this because we actually kind of have some rapport with them. But if it's a new guest, okay, let's say we only do it if they have we need 2 hours of their time, okay? But 30 minutes of that is actually just us chatting off camera, off mic, just chatting, just getting to know each other a little bit.
Do you reckon
then that's that 30 minutes of like...
That's definitely why. So my favorite podcaster is Dax Shepard, armchair expert. And his podcast with guests are like 2 hours. And the first 15, half an hour, they just turn the mics on as soon as they're walking into the studio. It sounds like this.
Yeah, like you can hear them closing the door.
Yeah.
And you can hear, like Dax gets up and he's like, hey!
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Do you want a coffee? It's like, have you listened to this? He's literally just walking in, or are you reenacting this?
Yeah. Looking back at it, it's such a good technique to like get comfortable. And they just keep it in there too. So maybe we should just start recording about, all right, we don't actually start for like half an hour. Let's just like talk shit for a bit, eh?
Yeah.
Like, it's a good
just
idea.
like get down, sit on a mic and actually just talk to them like, how was it getting here? What was traffic like? All the boring shit that actually you would want to cut out of an episode, but sometimes you can't because then the episode would only be 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good little tip, I think.
I think we need to be like, we're only doing it if you can have 2 hours of your time. And yeah, because it's like, it's not fair on you or us to just like be fucking nervous for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Because it's like, mate, back before we started this podcast, if you told me like I had to meet someone for 10 minutes, random, like I know who they are, but
fuck no,
complete random, and then sit down and talk to them for an hour, I'll be like,
what about?
Yeah.
Whoa, wait, what about?
What are you talking about? I can't do that. I don't know them.
Oh, fuck.
So I am proud of us in that aspect. And also doing these types of events has really inspired me. And like, we obviously look up the Shits and Gigs and the girls' bathroom. They're in a little bit of a different realm, but I still really appreciate what they do. They have such a cool like podcast and audience, and also their personal channels.
Yeah, it's just like something it's great to look up to.
Yeah, like even because Shits and Gigs are very similar to us, and the girls' approach was very, not different, but it is different. But how they worked was very inspiring. Yeah. And all their different avenues of harnessing their audience was so inspiring. And it really like made me think like, oh shit, what they're doing, that's really smart. And sort of just want to take everything, and it's inspired me to figure out our own journey and add little bits of pieces and make the Relatables journey even better. Yeah. It feels good. Not one bit of me has been like, I wish I had what they had. Oh, no, neither. Yeah. Neither. For some reason, it's been really like, I really am just happy with what we have. I appreciate our journey too, because it's uniquely ours. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's cool. Fuck, it's just a different world. And yeah, we appreciate everyone listening, and yeah, I'm just ready to keep it going. I would like to say the two guests that are the next goals, okay? We got two. I know one of them. I know one of them is Dax Shepard. Yeah. That's Oddie's number one. That's huge. Number one guest, right? Like it may not even align with us, but just the fact that like I really like him too. I would love to do like a 2-hour podcast with him. Yeah, fuck it. If we could get him, I would sit down forever with him. Yeah. And we could I can actually relate to him in some senses because of my mum's addiction, and he had addiction. Yeah. And then so much, it'd be a great conversation. Yeah. But in terms of like audience alignment, I think the next big goal should be the basement yard. Oh, the basement yard. Yeah. That's big too. That's another big one. Yeah. They do align, and they're so funny. And here's the thing about them, right? They've been touring. Okay, and the way we got Shits and Gigs is because they just so happen to be touring in Australia. Yeah. Same as Cinzia and Sophia. Yeah. So, Basement Yard, they have just announced that they're going to do the UK. Shit. You know what comes after the UK? Australia. Wow. These motherfuckers will be coming to Australia because Australia loves them. And we somewhat make people good money. I think we have good, like, I don't know, ratios or something about that for people coming, because artists actually like coming to Australia now again. Artists like it as well. Like Drake's similar just having a time. Yeah. And so I reckon the Basement Yard and Dax Shepard. Fuck, that's huge. Yeah. I got a few in the back of my mind which I think would be really good listens to, which I reckon we can get. They're not easy to get, but I reckon we can start putting out some feelers. Do you reckon we could have a good chat with Inspired Unemployed? That's what I was thinking. We'd relate to them? Yeah, I reckon. Yeah. I know a bit about them too. We grew up here. We grew up in a very similar area, but theirs is just like an hour and a half south of Sydney, and we're an hour and a half north. What's good about them too is they used to have a podcast and it could be like their last comeback or something like that. And we just talked to them for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to do with them. I thought about it last night. Funny you brought that up. You know my glass half full with Oddie Clark? It's on Patreon. I haven't done one on the main episodes yet. And it's like where I flip a negative connotation or a negative situation and turn it into a positive one or look at it in a different light. They used to do Into the Vault, which was like a safe environment, and they just like G'd the fuck up.
Oh.
And we sort of subconsciously did glass half full without even knowing that. But I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, what would we talk to Inspired Unemployed about? And we could do like a glass half full and we'd play my song and be like, all right, we're in a safe environment. And we flip some like negative situations on its head. And they're like, oh, this is nice. I feel like they'd be the perfect candidate.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Because they used to do the vault and then they'd just G the fuck up.
Okay. What would they do in the vault?
The exact concept was like, I'm pretty sure, could be wrong. It was something along the lines. They'd close a vault door and then they'll just be like, I fucking hate it when you're driving and someone pulls out and doesn't wave. I just want to fucking punch him in the face.
Okay.
Shit like that.
Yeah,
and then,
safe space.
And then as soon as the vault's closed, like, I feel better.
Kind of like we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah,
type.
yeah.
Okay, I hear you. Well, you should start doing Glass Half Full on Spotify.
Yeah. Definitely for a segment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for our future and so grateful for everybody listening. Hey,
Thank you so much.
we love you. Stay bad.
Mate.